going on, everybody? Welcome to A Day Late with DeAndrea. Now, preseason is about a month away, and before the games kick off, I want to get into what's happening around the league. And I'm starting with a team that just made the biggest move of the entire offseason. That team happens to be the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns just traded Myles Garrett. And somehow, I think this trade has more to do with Shedeur Sanders than it does Myles Garrett. Because if you're trading one of the best defensive players in football, you're not thinking about today. You're thinking about tomorrow. And when I look at everything that Cleveland has done this offseason, I think they're telling us exactly what the plan is. The question is, are the Brown fans going to be patient enough to let it happen? Now, I've been watching reactions to this trade all week. ESPN, Nightcap, YouTube, social media, and I'm going to be honest, almost everybody is talking about this trade from Myles Garrett's perspective. Myles gets a chance to win. Myles gets a fresh start. Myles gets to compete for the Super Bowl, which just happens to be in LA this year. We get it. Myles has been placed in a great position to actually make something happen this season, for real, and not just hitting numbers, but to really go and compete on a championship contending team. Great. But that's not the story that I'm interested in. I am not following Myles Garrett to Los Angeles. I'm staying in Cleveland because I think this trade tells us more about what the Browns are doing than it does about Myles Garrett. Let me tell you something. NFL teams do not make emotional decisions. Every move has a purpose. Every move is about positioning for what's next. But before we get there, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that elephant just happens to be Deshaun Watson. And I'm going to say something that a lot of people, especially Shedeur fans, are not going to like. If I'm Cleveland, then I'm absolutely starting Watson. Yep, I said it. Absolutely 100% guaranteed that I am starting Deshaun Watson if I'm Cleveland. Why? It's not because I think he's the future. It's not because the Brown fans are calling for him on the field and excited about it. And it's not because I think he's better than Shedeur. So why? I'm starting him because he's the expensive one. The Browns gave Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Not partially guaranteed, not mostly guaranteed, fully guaranteed. One of the biggest and most controversial contracts in NFL history. And Cleveland still needs answers. Can he still play? Can he still win games? And can he still be the quarterback that they thought? Because whether the answer is yes or no, I need to know. And I don't need one preseason drive. I don't need a highlight clip from training camp. I need real football. Hike, let's go. I need to see him real time on that field. Give him a few games, let him sink or let him swim, and then make a decision. But we have to start with Deshaun Watson. It's not even negotiable. He's the most expensive one, and we're absolutely starting with him. Because here's the mistake that I would not make if I was Cleveland. I would not rush Shedeur Sanders on that field week 1. I would absolutely not do it. And before y'all start typing and screaming and it's not fair, Shedeur deserves a chance, let me finish. Hear me out. The moment Shedeur steps on that field week 1, the moment Shedeur struggles, people are going to say he's overrated. They're going to say he's all hype. They're going to say that we didn't prepare him properly. And if you bench him after week 1 of him struggling, the internet and all of Shedeur's fans, they going to lose their minds. They going to lose it. But if Watson struggles first, now the pressure shifts. Now the fan base is asking for Shedeur. And we already know Shedeur's fan base don't politely ask for him. They demand it. And now Shedeur can enter as the answer instead of the question. Because last season last season we're not even going to talk about. But now Shedeur can enter as the answer and not the question. And that is a completely different situation for the Cleveland Browns to smartly walk into. Now, I want to talk about something that a lot of these people are not talking enough about, and that is the business side. Because whether Shedeur is starting or not, he is already one of the biggest brands in football. Let that sink in. Shedeur Sanders generated over $17 million through NFLPA licensing. Not touchdowns, not playoff wins, not a Super Bowl ring, jerseys, merchandise, trading cards, marketing. This man reportedly broke a record that was previously held by Tom Brady. And we are talking about a rookie. So back to the business side. When people ask, why would the Browns be patient with Shedeur? Maybe that's part of the answer. Because unlike most rookie quarterbacks, football does not have to make Shedeur Sanders famous. He already famous. He's already selling. He's already generating attention. He's already pulling in money. You understand? And so the only thing left to prove at this point for that young man is, can he be a franchise quarterback? And if I'm Cleveland, and knowing how last season went, rushing Shedeur, not preparing Shedeur, if I'm Cleveland, I ain't rushing that process. I am not rushing that process just because social media is impatient and wants to see him on the field week 1. Because it's going to backfire if they put him in week 1. Now, let me be clear. While everybody around the league is talking about Cleveland is focused on next year, Cleveland is not really trying to win this season, I absolutely disagree. I don't think Cleveland is throwing in the towel, just preparing to simply lose this season. I just think they're finally honest about where they are and they're putting it all on the table. They start with Watson. If it works, great. You have your answer. If it doesn't, Shedeur is next. And if Shedeur proves that he can be that guy, Cleveland may have just found the face of their franchise for the next 10 years. And if that don't work, they still walked away with Jared Verse and multiple future draft picks. That's not a team giving up. That's a team creating options. And honestly, I think that's the part that everybody is missing. Because all week long, I've heard people talking about what this trade means for Myles Garrett, what this trade means for the Rams. I think it's about Cleveland. I think it's about finally deciding what comes next. And so while the rest of the world is laser focused on Los Angeles, I'm looking at Cleveland. Because I think the most important part of this trade hasn't even happened yet. And whether Brown fans want to hear it or not, every road from here eventually leads back to one name, Shedeur Sanders. Every road from here leads to that name. The only question is, how long Cleveland is going to make everybody wait? I'll talk to you soon, or I'll see you later, whichever one is first.